going on, everybody? It's Ty with the Triple Threat Vet Podcast. It is Tuesday at 7 p.m., and we're about to get this show started. Each and every episode, we have a guest on, and they're going to tell their story. So today's story is actually about a lady named Nicole Emilio Casper. So what she is she is a documentarian, a military spouse. She is an award-winning director, producer for military documentaries. She is a psychology major, a journalist. She's worked for National Public Radio. She's worked at AFN. She's written, she's been a DJ. She's been on morning shows at Fort Campbell. She's documented filmed two documentaries, A Journey Back to Normal and Resilience, a docuseries. So it's going to be a fun show today. We've been looking to get her on for a while. So what's going on, Matt?
Oh, nothing. I just want everybody out there to know that Ty said we can't take no days off. So he put another one in this week and said I will be here or I'll be fired. So I'm here. I'm just kidding because Al's not here. Otherwise he'd be fired. But no, he's right. So Nicole, we've been trying to get on for a while. No better time to do it than now. So I'm happy to be here today. I'm happy to hear her story, and I'm happy to get started with it. But, welcome to everybody. I know Thursday's not the normal day, which it could be the normal day. It's going to be the normal day again soon. Just be on the lookout for Thursday guests in the future. But, tell a friend. This is going to be a good one. You got to tune in. Or you can just get it when it drops on Friday, tomorrow.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
Yeah, I felt like I was in the multiverse, going from one to the other. Every time they update StreamYard, I must miss the memo because now when you put us up on screen, we're minimized. Dang it! Sorry. Why are they not consulting you about everything that they do in the platform?
I've asked. I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Hey, StreamYard, the beatings will continue until morale improves. I'm just saying. So. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just the anxiety of not having all three of us here. It's difficult for me.
You hear that, Al Hero? You are needed in some places. I don't care what you say. April says about you.
Well, yeah. So I mean, we have an amazing guest today. What do you say we get right to it?
Yeah, I say we get to it. I mean, it was a good intro. So without further ado, I think we bring Nicole in and say hello. Hello there. See, look at that on cue, guys.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, doing? Nicole. Doing good. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate the opportunity to learn about you, your story, and the things that you're doing for veterans. Because anytime we can talk, there's a uniqueness to this. A lot of the people we talk to are veterans, right? That they've done whatever they did in service. Now they're telling us their story. But today we get to talk to a spouse of a veteran that's also making a super huge impact in the community. And it just allows us to share another side of how you can still help after service, right? I don't think we give spouses enough credit for the service that they do give, right? Being the one at home all the time. And, when we're on deployment, they think we're partying. We're not. I mean, we might be. It depends on what service you're in. But, just hear that perspective of it. I'm excited about it. And I'm honored to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. And I'm definitely, truly honored to be on the show and talk to you all. And just one correction, not a big deal. I'm a former military spouse, although we're great friends. We still spend time together. We have a granddaughter. I support him, wholeheartedly. Still, a little emotional about it.
Well, once a military spouse, at least you experience that. So the way you cover it, it's obvious that you've had the experience to be able to go through that, to spend some time at 82nd and the 101st. Yes. I mean, it's jumping into the deep end there with some resilience. What do you think?
Oh, completely. I mean, not only with Chris's unit, I developed so many great relationships with women in the community at my church and at the schools, because there were a lot of dual military families, and still connected to a lot of my veteran girlfriends and best friends. And they went through some tough times too. I know that women are not talked about enough either, in the military space sometimes, because they do so many amazing things. So that's part of my mission as well, to tell those veteran women's stories. So every story is amazing and extraordinary. Absolutely. And a lot of stories of resilience. So yeah.
So we do like to start every show, Nicole, off with just allowing our audience the opportunity to get to know you, a little bit about you, where you're from, upbringing, if you want to share any of that, and kind of how you got into the space that you're in today. So if you don't mind, if you could just start us off with where you're from and what was it like growing up and going through what you've gone through up into getting you to the point where you're at now.
Sure. So I am a New York girl. I grew up on Long Island with, I'll have to say, a great big Italian family, not a big Greek Italian family, but very close. Wonderful upbringing. Good balance of craziness as well. So, no upbringing is perfect, but the journey that I basically was on and still on, when I was a little girl, my parents, my teachers, etc., always told me I was a great storyteller. I was a good writer and that I should hone those skills. And, so I did a lot of journaling growing up and in college, and wanted to pursue communications and broadcasting and possibly film in college when I went to school in Boston. But I guess had a couple of naysayers in my circle, and just kind of dissuaded me from, pursuing that. So I took the safe route, and I was a psychology major, and I thought about being a psychologist for a while. But it was definitely significant, because I feel as though my life has a full circle, because as a filmmaker, and being an interviewer and journalist and talking to so many people over the years, it's very therapeutic. It's very therapeutic for the person I'm interviewing, and even for the entire film crew. So I'm definitely grateful for having that background.
Yeah. So just real quick, you said when you were in college, you kind of wanted to pursue what you're doing now, but you had some naysayers. What kind of things were people telling you that made you kind of shy away from it initially and go the psychology route?
Mm-hmm. Most people said that it was too competitive. There was no, real money in film or communications or broadcasting, and that I would never make any money, or I would never, be hired on, in a position, or et cetera. 'Cause I grew up in New York. So, a lot of educators in my family, a lot of entrepreneurs, and they wanted me to pursue, and my parents too, college, something very practical, and something that, was, more the safe route. So, and I did, I guess I did kind of take that advice, because I was confused, I guess, as I was
So it was your family that was kind of like, hey, the old adage, your family's like, you're never going to make any money doing that comedy thing or whatever it is. Right. And you're like, oh, I got to make some money, got to listen to them. So I know we're going to get to what you're doing now. So my question would be, what's the conversation like now with the same family members now that they see what you're doing now? Like what is their take on it now as opposed to then?
I think there is a lot more respect in terms of pursuing this field, and pursuing, something that, at the end of the day, yes, sometimes there's, good funding, and then sometimes there's not. I think that they respect the fact that I am making an impact, and I am serving. And the way I usually communicate as well, I am serving, and this is the way I give back to our country and people, those who have served. So I think they, I guess, that would be, maybe respect, and think that I was courageous enough to, take that leap and, kind of make the pivot to a different career path. So, and I think if I never left New York, I will say this, if I never left New York, because it's super competitive there, number one market, I may have never pursued it. I may have never.
Oh. So where did you wind up going for school?
So I did go to Boston College, graduated with a psychology major, music minor, political science, and then moved back to New York City. And that's where I met Chris Casper, and he went to NYU, and, you know, we got married, and then he joined the military to pay off college loans. Isn't that crazy? And then, you know, he did the reverse kind of
Yeah.
and he did, so he went enlisted, and then we were down in North Carolina, and we had 2 little babies, and you know, he was an E4 because he had to be enlisted first, and so I was very adamant. I was like, well, when I go back to work, I want to pursue broadcasting. And he said, you know, definitely do it, pursue your passion, whatever you want to do, as long as we could, you know, pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I did volunteer.
He still had that shot of a doubt. As long as, right? You're like, why does everybody keep saying this, right?
Yes, as long as we pay the bills.
Yeah.
We definitely, and especially him, you know, because he had to, he had to be enlisted. He entered as an E4, and then he had a second job. And then I really wanted to raise my kids when they were little. So then I ended up working at night a little bit just to, you know, have some extra money. And then once I had gained experience, I got my first position at Cumulus Communications at Fort Bragg. So I worked for a radio cluster there. It was a rock station and country station. And country was not my thing as a New Yorker, but I suffered through it.
There you go. And then, what was the moment for you? Like, you got that first job. Was it at that point that you were like, yeah, I'm going to be able to do this? Or was there something else that happened after a while that made you see the path and kind of go down the direction that you're in right now?
Yes. I mean, I definitely think radio was a good stepping stone. And then once I started training in the newsroom to tell stories and report and hone my writing skills there, I knew I wanted to make the transfer to telling stories on film and TV and et cetera. So because I always had it, you know, on my heart and my mind to tell significant stories that will help incite change and impact change and, you know, provide hope and inspiration. I know that's a little cliche, but just back, I guess, you know, a little bit of a backstory. After college, we lived in New York City for 5 years before Chris joined the military. And I worked at Teachers College at Columbia University, and I just got entry-level job because I wanted to pursue a master's in journalism back then when I was 23. And it would have been free, but I didn't finish because I did start to have kids. Although I also wasn't passionate enough because the way they were teaching, I remember, just wasn't what I was really passionate about. You know, we had to write about fires or car accidents or, you know, it was very, very, you know, foundational. And at that point, I really felt like I was a fish out of water. I said, I know this is just not for me. And then I said, maybe later. So when I did turn 30, that's when I volunteered at NPR. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So what was it like being at NPR? What was your experience like there?
It was really interesting. I did, you know, I learned the foundation of radio and radio broadcasting. It was very, it was fun. But I remember listening to, you know, the dynamic stories, and I ran the jazz show and I did run a lot of the telethons and, you know, where they were raising money, et cetera. It was at Fayetteville State University. So I was also immersed in that higher education space. I took classes at Fayetteville State University to pursue my master's later in the later years when we returned to Fort Bragg, because we were at Fort Bragg from 2002. And then we were at Fort Campbell, several other places, Germany, and then we returned to Fort Bragg. So I took a lot of prerequisite courses to start my master's in journalism and public relations. So, but yeah, it was a great experience and amazing mentors there as well.
Yeah, I think NPR's come into the forefront for me here lately, just because when I go visit my daughter, who's in psychology, actually, she's a geropsychologist. When I go visit her, she's always watching YouTube, something on YouTube, right? And one day caught like Tiny Desk concerts with NPR. So we're watching those. I'm like, these things are these are crazy. Like they're giving a whole concert at, you know, this desk and everybody else scrunched in, but it was cool. So that's when you're like, yeah. So those are cool videos. Like watching those just because you kind of they get to tell you stories while they're doing the music. So, you know, pretty good. NPR has always been good for giving you good content to listen to. I'm sure it was a place that was like a wealth of experience and people that like you just wanted to be in the room for 5 minutes to go, I just need to hear him talk for a minute. You know?
Yes, completely. Yeah. Everyone had a PhD, or at least half of them.
There you go. Yeah. So you left from there and went to Fort Campbell?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm going to let Ty talk to you all about Fort Campbell. I don't know much about it, but I think he knows a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so kind of what I'm interested in is like in our conversations, like all we're talking about is your work. And your mind goes a million miles a minute. And I'm looking back over all these things that kind of made Nicole. You were a former military spouse, all the documentarianism, all the education, the higher learning, and you have all kinds of experience being at some of the most deployable places. And people, you know, things happen, you know, there's training accidents, there's all kinds of things going on whenever you're going back and forth to all these places. So if you could you tell me what kind of inspired you from your whole experience? What was the thing that says, my life's work is going to be to make these videos for soldiers and tell their stories? Like what inspired that? Because we need to get that and put it in a can and sell it. Because hearing your story from Nate Brookshire and how his book started and what you're doing now, I just want to know, what is it? Tell me, Nicole, what is it?
Well, I feel like I do feel like a broken record when I'm saying this, but I definitely feel as though there's not enough people in this country and really in this world that truly understand the military experience, even before the person was in the military, and then during, and then after. It is such a dynamic story. And every time I hear a new story, it blows my mind. And for me to be, just complacent, after Chris retired in 2016 or 2017 and, got back into the civilian community, and I didn't fit in, and my heart just was not happy and this was part of it, because people just truly didn't understand. Every single day I interact with folks who say, even just a new person, and they want to know my background and want to know what my work is. And they'll say, oh, wow, that's great. And then they'll go on and, talk about how, their business isn't making money, and they just don't care. And that is so frustrating for me. So I've made it my life's mission and plus the fact that a lot of, obviously my family, my best girlfriends, and now people that, I've made friends with and I'm close with, I've told their story on film. I'm an advocate for them, and I'm very, very passionate about it. And this is what I'm supposed to do until, I'm on the other side of eternity. So I definitely, this is why that is, that's my why.
Well, I would tell you that even after that moment, even when we're on the other side, it's going to live on forever, right? Because at the end of the day, when someone watches something like that, they're going to know who made it. And when they see who made it, how many times have you're in this profession, so I'm sure when you see something that you're like, man, that was really moving, looking up who created it, right? To learn about this person and why did they create it? Why was it important? So you're going to live on forever there. Number two, on this show, we talk a lot, and we have our buddy Scott, that he would come on all the time and ask people to talk about somebody that they were here again. Who would you talk to? And the key that I take away from what you're doing is that the stories of what our veterans have done to keep our country free and do all the things we did, it has to be told. Well, if you stop telling the story or you stop talking about those people, then they go away, right? So in order for them to live on and for us to understand what that sacrifice is, what you're doing is probably one of the most important things we can do, because you're actually put in somewhere that can be reviewed, looked at, and seen from another perspective, way in the future,
Yes, completely. And then even extension of that is we, even over the last year, I had an epiphany and I said, these are legacy stories because even my film partner, David Goodman, his grandfather served in the Vietnam War and he never knew why he was troubled, why he drank. And as he was working with me, even that first year, he started to really understand. He was my target audience. He had
Yeah.
no connection to the military community ever, except through some of his relatives, and his brother actually serves, but never really had that direct connection and never understood because back then they didn't talk about it either. So these are the legacy stories that will help generations to come understand their own family members, even those that may not talk about it with their families, but they talk to us. I even talked to someone recently who said, that interview helped me open up to my own family. So it's actually even
Oh, wow.
goes beyond, this film, this film endeavor. I definitely feel sometimes it does heal families sometimes when they're telling their stories and then they go back and then some of their family members also communicate, what they're feeling and how there was a lot of restoration as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that when you take a look at how all that works, a song, a movie, a documentary, something that puts you in a moment where you sit there and you get that light bulb and it just goes off, it helps to clear so many things up. And so I would imagine you probably get a lot of messages from people saying that what you've done has helped them. They wish it was there. But the other thing is, until people see someone else being vulnerable enough to, kind of tell that story or be open to kind of go through that whole experience, other people don't realize it's okay to do that until they found it. Right. And so I think you're that piece that's like kind of telling people, it's okay. You tell your story. It's fine. Your story is your story. Whatever you want it to be, you tell that because people need to hear it. And until some of us see others doing that, everybody's just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Because that was the biggest thing, right? World War II, Vietnam guys didn't talk about what happened because they felt like not talking about it. I would imagine, I wasn't in that era, but I would imagine it was more of like I don't want to put them through what I went through. So therefore, I'm not going to talk about it. But if they would have, it would have been so much better, right? But you don't know that until you get to a place like now where people are more open to talk about them. So I think it's exciting to hear that guy was like, oh my gosh, I can see now, like, what another family member was going through that you just had no idea. It's like, oh, I get it now. That's probably like a huge aha that comes through and you're like, there we go. I got it. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, brings me back to, that full circle, psychology, sort of a therapist, a pseudo therapist.
I mean, you did go to school for it. So,
but yeah, completely. And I will say, I'll add that, a lot of, some of my curiosity anyway is to, even though, I did talk to, my family about it, my former husband about it, it was really to really try to understand what my own family went through. And I heard over and over again, oh, that's why he did this, or that's why he said this, or, it was, yeah, like I said, it was pretty therapeutic for me as well.
It's extremely powerful when in the years that I deployed with Nate Brookshire, and he's telling stories, he's telling me that he's going to write this book, and then you see what the actual book's about. And the book Hidden Wounds is not just a story; it's actually about a German and American soldier during the end of World War II. So how their lives become intertwined, moral injury and things like that. But just hearing Nate's backstory, hearing you talk about it, and then hearing all of these experiences that you've had, I can't commend you enough for what you're doing. I actually want to show a short little excerpt of the Hidden Wounds, just so Matt can see it, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss it. We'll be right back.
we were told 250 insurgents were headed our way. They came down, threw off 50 cal, threw off a box of grenades, pretty much told us, hold them off with the 50 cal, and then blow up our communication devices so that way they couldn't steal our encryption. And this is it. So that night, we weren't supposed to see the next day.
When you were sitting there in your hut and you're hearing the bombs drops, you hear the rattling, the bullets, and you can see shells coming down, that's when it all hits real. Most of the times when you jump into a C-130, you got to run off the ramp or you run on the ramp because you see tracer rounds coming towards you.
I was 18 years old when I went to Vietnam. I was a engineer, and we built roads. And where we built roads in Vietnam, they tried to blow them up. They were attacked one night, and our captain was killed, and several others.
Combat affects folks in a lot of different ways. We don't realize a lot of those things affect us until later on. Don't know why that is. Everyone's different. My dark days came much later after that, and it was after losing a lot of friends and Marines to suicide, which caused me to go into my black box, if you will.
I'd kept everything hidden in the back of my mind in what I call a little black box. And after the surgery, at first I became manic, and then I went into a deep depression, and then everything that was in that box came out.
Yeah, he talks about, everything in the black box coming out, and what I've really gleaned from my time knowing you and from hearing like Nate talk about the preparation for the book and then you doing this docuseries, what I see is that if you never talk about it and you keep everything pent up, if you keep everything in that black box and then something happens, you hear it, or you smell a smell, you hear a song like Matt talked about, that dust music, dusk, sunrise and sundown with the dust in the air, the way it smells, that can elicit a visceral response with things that went on back in the day. So just having those tools there for you, I think one of those big tools is talking about these things, because I've told you before, Nicole, and then Matt and Al and Scott, when we were all doing this podcast together, we started this to be able to talk about things just so, we don't turn into pressure cookers. So there's a million things we can say about resilience. Sorry, I will wax poetic forever. There's a million things that we can say about resilience, but I do want to talk more about the experience of you from maybe the first interview you did to maybe some of the later ones. How much more at ease did you become, and how did you become comfortable with maybe dragging, but pulling those stories and making those soldiers and airmen and Marines and sailors feel comfortable telling them? Because you can see, as he's talking about a box of grenades, I know what that tactile, I know what that feels like. I can hear it in his voice, all the emotion that's there. So mm-hmm. how did you hone those skills?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll back up a little bit. When I first filmed Voices of Hope, one camera, one mic, in prison, I remember developing relationships with this group of individuals. Actually, one was a veteran too, so we actually connected a little bit more. And over time, when I was asked to do the documentary, I said no at first. And then once I really got to know each individual, spent a lot of time with them, I felt compelled to do it. I'm like, yes, I'm doing it. I'll get approval from the warden and the state, et cetera. We made it happen. So when I pursued the journey back to normal and assembled the team and, reached out to the nonprofits in Kansas City back in 2016. I really wanted to meet with the veterans before going to film with them and interview with them. And each time, it got easier and more comfortable. We would, meet on Zoom, or I'd meet in person. I met with every single nonprofit before we filmed, coordinated, because a lot of the nonprofits were run by veterans and family, veteran families, et cetera. So that really helped. And I think it's a lifetime of being in sort of, because as you know, you saw my resume, I've worked in many spaces. I'm very, I know how to build relationships. It just comes natural to me. I care about hearing someone's story, and I remember it 40 years later. I definitely remember because I care, and I care. I really feel as though to help people tell their story, to heal from it, but then also inspire others. So yes, so it was a progression. But we did the same with Hidden Wounds. We had, held meetings, and then we met in person in South Carolina. That was the group in South Carolina. I didn't meet with everyone, but some of them on Zoom, and I had phone calls with them, so they knew, who I was and what my intent was and what our team's intent was. But so, yeah, it definitely, definitely. I think now, I think every individual is different, and a lot of people did open up to us more so than others, and connected with some, normally. And, but I will say the last shoot in Texas was probably the hardest shoot that I ever experienced. Because
please tell what you can.
Yeah. So I met this group through Michael Myers, who's the founder of and the commissioner of the Military Basketball Association. Great, combat veteran, 20-year veteran, and he's done amazing things with his organization. And he approached us, just as a backstory, to film, some of his story and highlighting the Military Basketball Association. But when I met with him in Philadelphia, he flew out from Colorado about a year and a half ago now. He said, there's a larger story, Nicole. And I said, what? And he said, it's the story of Black Knights. It's the reason why I formed and created the Military Basketball Association. So I said, okay. And so fast forward, several months later, we started having conversations with the former commander, the group of veterans who served back in 2007 to 2008. And they served together in Iraq. And it was just a very, very historical event and dynamic story that just really, just tore my heart apart, I guess. And there was every emotion in the room. They lost about 20 guys. In one day, they lost several to, a horrible explosion. And that day was May 19th. And so we interviewed about 13 guys who deployed at the same exact time, pretty much. And that was the missing link to the docuseries, which was formerly Hidden Wounds. But then as we progressed in hearing these stories, we felt as though Hidden Wounds was just part of the story, because these were stories of true resilience. So, but we always wanted to interview a group who were deployed together, because I thought that it would help the audience even more understand the military experience and the relationships that are formed, not only within the U.S. military, but people that we partnered with in these regions. And it was just so eye-opening and so emotional and so, I would say, cathartic for many in the room, including, the film team and the folks that were telling the story. It was it was 4 days of probably just the gamut of emotions. I never cried so much in my life. I'm telling you, I feel like
Yeah, we've had times on here where, you know, even if I know the story, like people start telling the story and it becomes so intense that, you know, sometimes it overcomes you. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you telling those stories, you know, and like Matt said, even long after we're all gone, those stories are going to be here because you're putting them, you know, on digits, and that's going to be out there, and soldiers and sailors and Marines and all those people that need to have their stories. I only want to say soldiers, but all military members.
Thank you. There's other people.
Yeah,
so I know that we're coming towards the end of it with Nicole. I do want to just say before we're done, thank you for coming on and telling us your story. There's probably so much more that we could get into with you. I'm excited to actually go take a look at the docuseries, and I want to watch it. I want to see what it's all about. I can't wait to kind of see how the stories are told. But I did want to ask you, is there anyone, anything, or things that you want to plug, talk about, tell people to go find, shout people out? Is there anything that you'd like to go over before you get out?
Sure. So we have several promos for Resilience, the docuseries. However, it's still in post-production. So we are definitely, of course, you know, looking for funders, and you can go to my website, miliamedia.com, and there is a donate button. We do partner with the Filmmakers Collaborative, which is our fiscal sponsor. And it's a great organization that helps independent filmmakers fund their projects. And it allows us to receive, you know, donations, and it's tax deductible, which is great. And they also have educational programs for youth and, you know, other independent filmmakers that are producing, you know, educational documentaries, et cetera. So they do some really great work. They're based in Massachusetts, and the group there is amazing. So shout out to Filmmakers Collaborative. And I will say that I definitely want to thank all of the veterans who told their story in Resilience. I appreciate them. I honor them. And I hope that we produce their story and make sure that we do justice to their life story. And one more thing too, because you know that I've worked in so many different spaces. I work as a public relations manager for a veteran-owned business. Surprise. And I will give a shout out to Blue Goat Cyber. And this is, I have to, it's such a cool shirt. My boss is so generous. This is the shirt that he sent me, and it's called Blue Goat Cyber, and it's medical device cybersecurity. So we're still saving lives.
It looks like you guys are rocking Formula One too. Let's go.
Yeah.
Can I get in the pit? I want to go hang out with the Red Bull team. I volunteer.
Definitely. Yeah. Reach out to Christian Espinoza. He's a great guy. And maybe I'll film his story one day. He's incredible story, and a story of resilience. Before he was in the military. Yeah. I had a pretty rough upbringing, and just incredible human being. And the team there is amazing too. So all of the nonprofits I've worked for and all the organizations, definitely grateful for all the opportunities.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, we appreciate you. One, for your service. Once a spouse, always a spouse. You get that same badge as veterans get, whether you did one day or you did 20 years or more, right? Like you've been through it. Thank you for telling veteran stories. Thank you for finding people and giving them a way to open up, because without doing that and talking about it, oftentimes that's where it does become worse. And that's where you start to see all of those different issues that we're starting to see now. So thank you for what you do. It was an honor meeting you. I can't wait to talk to you again. And I can't wait to see the progress of Resilience and when it's able to actually come out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. I'm very honored, and a lot of gratitude.
Absolutely. Nicole, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'll definitely be in touch with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Emilio Casper. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, man. There we go.
I want to be in a movie, bro. Just saying. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I just don't think my my headshot or my audition would do the trick. You know what I mean?
I don't have the face for movies. I don't have the voice for radio. I guess that's why I'm on a podcast.
What are you talking about, dude? We're on the radio kind of right now.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Well, hey, let's take a quick break.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back.
On average, we lose 22 veterans to suicide every single day. These heroes who once fought for our freedom now battle invisible wounds. Mission 22 is dedicated to healing our veterans and providing them the support they need. As a leader in our community, we stand with Mission 22 as we believe in giving back to those who have given up so much for us. It's our way of saying thank you for your service. For more information, visit mission22.com.
Hello, my name is Wax Poetic. I wish that you would buy me so that I can support the Project Zero Alliance. Please go to sameflagsameoath.com and buy all the Wax Poetic t-shirts that you can see there. Thank you very much. Wax Poetic.
Hey everyone, my name is Victor Ramirez. I'm a United States Army Combat Infantry veteran. I will be joining the Triple Threat for Vets podcast on March the 18th. I will be sharing a little bit of my Army experience. I'm also on the VFW National Legislative Committee, and I will be sharing with you a little bit of what the committee does and how we advocate for veterans all across the country. And I can't wait to see you March the 18th. See you then.
You guys keep blowing opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. You're like children with bad things happening. Instead of digging in and be tougher, you wilt. Where is your toughness? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's the game of life, not the game of basketball. You don't down when things go wrong. You dig in and get tougher. Your whole life's going to be adversity. Learn how to deal with it.
All right, Adam Sandler. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. And you tell the Project Zero who's in the comments down here, look, bro, don't be getting all happy about that because we do have the stats. So if you want to help them projects, you better help Ty. I mean, I hope that Adam Sandler commercial works. I'm just only saying that because I'm not in last place right now.
Pretty good though. Pretty good Adam Sandler voice.
No, that voice was good. That voice was good.
Here we go. What's the numbers here?
Yeah.
It's like Al still in the lead.
Hey, y'all know that if Al gave you a check to buy his shirt, that thing might not clear. I'm just saying. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah, we need to change those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. I gotta work harder.
Yeah, you know. So Bob, I see your comment in there that you're waiting. I did hear from a birdie that your shirts will be there on Saturday, just so you know.
Yeah, they'll be there. I sent you the date, bro.
Word.
Relax,
I know you're waiting.
Right, Bob.
You're waiting.
Hey,
Bob,
figure out
we
when
expect fashion photo shoot pictures of you in those shirts. Let's go.
No doubt. All right. I did want to talk about his book real quick. This is the Hidden Wounds: A Soldier's Burden book by Nate Brookshire and Marius Ticuanta with the foreword by Lieutenant Colonel Gordon Kukala. Yeah. So this guy here, Nate Brookshire, was my commander in my HHD 716th 0709 deployment. So he's one of those guys, kind of like Brian Heverly. He was just a different kind of commander. He was actually a sergeant first class and then became an officer. And then I think he's gonna come on the show eventually. I think he's gonna end up retiring sometime this year. So yeah, really cool guy.
Hey Bob, I don't know what you're talking about friending, but if it's Facebook, Ty can tell you I'm challenged in that arena. I'll have Ty walk me through it. I have to look.
The slides?
Huh?
That's weird as hell. These slides are changing on their own.
I mean, I don't know why they would be. So, Ty, what you got? I know that you said you have stuff for me. What do we have? What are we talking about today?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it work. I can't get it to work. Give me 1 second. Yeah, here we go.
Ooh, events and announcements.
There we go. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about this. All right, guys. If you haven't noticed already, we're doing a contest this year to raise money for a nonprofit, and we're going to keep telling you to spend some money so that we can make some money, not for us, but for nonprofits, right? But this one, you get to potentially walk away with some money here, right? So, March Madness is around the corner. Instead of going to spend all your money on ESPN and lose because you know there's some super genius using AI that's going to win, you can just come hang with us and you can have a 50-50 shot of winning half the pot, right? And the other half of the pot is going to get donated, and we're going to donate that over to the folks that are with the shirt that Ty's wearing today, Guardian Grounds Ranch. So a veteran and first responder nonprofit that helps with mental health and well-being. They're here local in the Houston area where we live. So they're fairly new. We know that they're still trying to get off the ground. So if you can come in, you can spend $50. You can get into the pool. You can make a bracket. And how many are we selling, Ty? What's the number?
Yeah, so we're going to, it's 25. We're going to take $25, 25 people, or $50, 25 people, and try to half of that money, the 50-50 split of that is going to go to the charity of whoever wins. Right, and then we're going to give it to Guardian Grounds, but it's going to be.
We're going to give money to Guardian Grounds, and whoever wins that other half of the money, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. You can go get out of jail free if you've made your wife mad and buy her some flowers. You could probably do what Al would do and go spend it on hanging out with his buddies instead of doing nice things for his wife. Or you can do whatever. You could buy more Got Your Six shirts with it. You can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to tell you to spend your money, but. This is an opportunity to do that. Or you could do what they do at golf tournaments. You could be like, you know what? Guardian Grounds they're pretty cool. I'm going to just let it all ride and go back to them. Not saying that you should do that, but you have options there. So this is your opportunity to win some money. For $50, you could win $625. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. That's better than casino odds. So we're going to start doing the sign up. So Ty, tell me, how can people sign up for March Madness?
All you got to do is go to the ESPN Tournament Challenge and search Triple Threat Bet Podcast 2025 and enter and try to beat me. I doubt it will happen, but you can try.
Ty said that last year and he lost. So here's the thing. He probably did win.
Did you win? Okay. I've not been doing this.
I was doing good.
I've not been doing
I was doing good. So here's the thing, everybody. What I really want you to do, though, honestly, is connect with us either on Instagram or Facebook with a direct message. Let us know that you're going in there to register. So that way we know you're going in to register, because what I don't want you to do is go in there and register and then we don't know who you are and then we boot you out. Because if you go in there and register a team, we want to make sure that you pay your fees so that you can have your opportunity to win half, and we can, more importantly, give half to Guardian Grounds. So make sure we know you're signing up. Send us over your name, send us over your information so that we can connect with you, okay?
I have a very particular set of skills. If you don't message me and let me know and pay my money, then I will find you.
We'll just kick you out, dude. Whatever. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, it's a good time. So it's March Madness. You get to go in there and take a gander at winning some money. And if you're like me, you're going to let your wife pick. Why? Because she asks what color the team's uniforms are, and she goes with the best colors. Or maybe even the nicest asses. I don't know. It's one of the two. She always does better than me. So we'll see how it works, you know?
Yeah, and then, of course, as we already said who was winning that, go to sameoath.com and help us get some money for these three nonprofits that do wonderful things for veterans.
Absolutely. Right now, Camp Hope is going to win some money. So for everybody out there that knows Alan Porter and the TVAA, I need y'all to start sharing, liking, favoriting, and buying some t-shirts. All right? I'm balling on a budget, y'all. I need y'all to go out there and buy some t-shirts. So for everybody that's already bought t-shirts, like our friend CIA Bob in here, thank you. Thank you for buying a shirt. We appreciate that. Also, selfish plug for yours truly, buy some other shit too. Don't just buy that one. There's other cool shirts in there. You could do it. Who knows? In the future, there might be a discount to package a deal with some of them, right? So think about that. So,
all right. So give me your take on resilience, brother. What do you think about that interview we just did?
So what I take from that, I like the fact that she originally started that thing in one arena, right? To say that we're going to talk about this, but then as she started telling the stories, just through natural progression, as things do, she allowed that ship to take its course, right? She let it go where it wanted to go to be able to name it resilience. And I'm happy she picked that. Probably not something I would have picked up in the original part of it, right? Just like she didn't. But as you talk to people, I mean, that's the one thing about veterans, they're resilient. And if we can get more people to see that and they'll understand, then it's going to help everybody. But I'm excited to see it just in the little snippets that you played, to hear these guys tell their stories. And that's the thing. You watch a whole bunch of podcasts of people that you know their name just because, you know, you see them everywhere, right? There's veterans out there that everybody knows your name. You're like Cheers. But there's so many other guys that have those same stories to tell. And so I'm excited for their stories to get out and, you know, be able to share with what they're going through and what they went through and help them, you know, kind of work through their trauma in their own way. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the whole series. It's going to be a special day too. And after we watch this series, and then we get Nate Brookshire on himself, because I mean, he's able to tell some stories too. He's had some great experience, and this is I guess you could say it's kind of a passionate project for me, because I know Nate was at the the genesis of this, and then with Nicole taking the lead and turning it into a full-on docuseries. I love that military members' stories are being told, and I think that's really important. Here's the thing, is like I have butterflies in my stomach right now. Like, I don't know why the hell I am. We'll just talk about it. Maybe that'll help me. But I am nervous just because I knew we were going to talk about this and how important it was. Just because I remember, I've seen pictures of Nate, in when he was a sergeant first class doing PSD for, Hillary Clinton, and so his stories and his projects, and they mean a lot to me, just like, your businesses, all those degrees are behind you. Like, these are the things that I hold. Well, they're not behind you now because you're not at your house.
Yeah.
But I'm literally nervous as hell today, just talking to her, because I know what she's doing, and then talking about things we're talking about. And I know it's going to elicit, because I'm so visual and I think about those things. I know it's going to make me start thinking about it. And most of the time I think about things with people we've had on the show. So I'm thinking, oh man. So yeah, I was pretty nervous. I was more nervous during this show than I was any of the people we've ever had on before that have told, probably more scarier stories. But like, I was very nervous talking to her tonight just because.
Well, I mean, think about it this way, Ty. Like, when you're a guy that.
Yeah, that's a good word, Bob. It ramps me up. That it gets the adrenaline flowing.
It does. What it is. I don't think it's just that it's ramping you up. I think that if anybody knows you well, and people are going to get to know you well on the podcast, they're starting to see a little bit more about who you are, right? And I enjoy seeing the opening up and talking more and doing those things, right? What they're going to realize real quick is that if Ty's in your fucking corner, you're good to fucking go, dude. And he's going to do everything he can to support you, help you, and make sure you win. And you do that for everyone that you feel that way without expecting anything in return, ever, which is not common in today's world. So I think the reason you felt the way you did is, that's Nate Brookshire's book. That series is coming based off what he did. You know how important it is to you. You want to make sure that people that go out there and see it feel the same things you feel and understand the same perspectives that you do about Nate and his service and the things that he did, because you feel it's that important. I think it's more of I need people to see this in the way that I do, because I know how important it is, right? Like you have a huge give a shit factor about this one, right?
Yeah.
It's
and
not
I'm sorry. I have it all in my brain, how I want it to be presented, or how I want at least the portions of the story that I know to be presented. Yeah. And then, but I don't have the articulation in to get it from my brain to here. So I'm nervous I'm going to say the wrong thing, and so that's why I was last week when you weren't going to be here. That's why I was like, okay, yeah, next week, because I needed you here just for that, just because I don't have a stutter and I would be stuttering. It's just how I felt.
No, you're good, bro. You're good.
Yeah.
Hey,
so what did you think about the question I wanted to ask about the video? I'll go ahead. I'll ask after.
No, go ahead. So
that video, what do you think about? We talk about resilience, and we do have Berto in the green room there.
I was going to say this infiltration thing is getting a little out of hand. You know what I mean? Somebody needs to.
The resident licensed clinical social worker for
it's like he shows up for moments like these so he can be like, lay on the couch, my friend.
Well,
that Buddha's going to work. You know what I'm saying?
I called him up a little bit earlier,
Oh, I got you.
But,
so that video.
So that video, the anger, the way he's talking, do you think that not just the military, but just society in general may not be as resilient with certain things, and definitely being yelled at, being confronted, being told no, being told you can't.
So you're talking about the very first guy that talked, yes?
Well, I'm talking about this video.
You guys keep blowing opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. You're like,
okay. I thought you were talking about the docu-series video.
No, I'm sorry. I've switched.
When I look at that, we don't have enough of that today, because somebody that would walk in a room today and do that, someone's going to say that you are, and I know I'm going to make fun of it's. You think I'm making fun of you, but I'm not. It's what you hear all the time, triggering that person because you're yelling at me and you don't understand what I've gone through. And what you really need to do in those moments, and even when we're in the military, one thing that I used to like to tell a lot of people I served with is, like, someone's yelling at you, don't give a shit about why they're yelling at you. Whether you deserve it or you don't, they're yelling. What I want you to do, focus on the words they're using. Not that they're yelling at you. Listen to what they're saying. He's just telling you that you should never give up and you should always push forward. But because he said a couple of F words, people are going to be like, oh my God, you talk to your players like that? Yeah, I do. Because they're athletes. And you got to push these mother effers. You know what I mean? But the message is great. The message should come back. You should hear it more now today than you even heard back then, because it's very much needed. We need more Rick Pitino's and, Bill Bell, these guys to get into a room and push people. You need that, man. Coach K's, right? You need them in that room, dude.
Yeah. So this may be a perfect segue, but I'll ask this. So I'm used to being talked to like that. I played sports from very young age all the way through college, and I'm used to being yelled at by sports people just like that.
Yeah.
I'm used to being yelled at in the military. I was raised by a Marine, so that is very normal to me. But the problem, and then we'll bring Berto on here in a second, is my kids and my family, and Berto knows my kids and family. I can just be talking and they think I'm angry. So that's something you got to tweak sometimes, that when you do get a little bit of triggered or whatever we're talking about, then I become, I'll say I become very short fused whenever I'm triggered. So
speaking of Berto, you can bring him in the room and I'll let him jump in on this one.
Yeah, we'll bring Berto Fight, licensed clinical social worker,
yeah.
New resident of, where you live now, Berto?
Where?
New Mexico. I'm in Albuquerque.
Uh-oh. I'm on my way. Listen, check this out. So this is what I was going to ask. So I know, Berto, you heard everything we said before you jumped in. Welcome aboard, by the way. It's good to see you, my friend.
Thank you.
Ty, I was going to ask you this question. Do you feel that your family feels like that more since you separated, or even when you were in?
The anger outburst?
Yeah. I'm asking Ty. Do you feel like they feel that way when, like, if you're talking, they think you're yelling? What I was asking you is, do you feel like that? And I'm interested to get Berto's take and see if he would take it in that same direction of, do you feel like that's more since you've gotten out or even when you were in?
Oh, no. Even when I was in, I was very intense.
Yeah, but just try to think back to it. When you were in an intense, was it still like, why are you yelling at me? Or is it more now? I feel like mine is more since I got out. Because when I was in, they were like, he's been dealing with people all day. You know what I mean? But now that I'm out, it's like, why are you yelling at me? Like, I'm not your sailors, right? Like, you hear that stuff when you're walking around, you know?
I think once they become adults, then that's when they're like, why are you yelling at me? But when they were living in my home, then no, I think it was just the way I was. Like, I was that way until the early 2020s, probably after COVID is when I kind of completely relaxed and stopped being like that for the most part. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that made me want to change, it didn't bother me, but it was the celebrity versus veterans all-star game, when I didn't feel like they had their stuff in order. And I felt like we were getting jerked around, like I was about to lose my shit, right? And and then I didn't realize
it's these guys right here. We're gonna give them some money, by the way, when I win.
No, not the TVAA guys.
No, I know.
It was the people that were trying to get us into the.
Yeah, because Alan was just as pissed. He was like, "Bro, I wish I had a better answer."
Not the TVAA, the actual press box people.
Bro, I felt bad for those press box people, Berto. I was like, they better get this shit
no,
right.
I mean, so the thing is that I didn't realize that it was that outward. And then Al goes on he's like, I was scared. And I know he was being funny, but I didn't realize it was that outward. So I really started taking a look at it then. And I think I talked to Berto about it. But yeah. What do you think about that, Berto?
So
I feel like Donnie, what do you think?
There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack.
Welcome to the show, Phil Donahue.
You guys know I like to educate as I also talk through this, right? So what many of us experience, particularly at a young age, right? I mean, I don't know the percentage, but the vast majority of veterans are young when they enlist, right? So we have this thing called social learning theory, which is when we start seeing how others behave, we automatically start doing it. It's for the same reason that nobody really ever remembers being told you have to raise your hand to ask us a question. We know that we need to do that, right? That's part of what we learn in school. So the way that we communicate is not just the words, right? Like 80 to 90% of communication is nonverbal. So it's how are you standing? How are you asserting yourself, right? So I'm going to give you an example. We got here on a Thursday expecting to sign a lease on a Friday at 10 a.m. I show up at 9:45 and they tell me the house is not going to be ready until 2 p.m. I started to do all the things that you're supposed to do, right? So I'm starting to feel my heart rate increase. I'm like, listen, lady, what time did you guys start work? And she goes, 8. I said, all I'm saying is you had 2 hours to call me. Meanwhile, I've checked out of a hotel. I got a car with full of luggage with a pissed off wife because we got up early and a dog.
And I'm about to go tell her we're not getting in now.
Right. So, needless to say, I mean, it all worked out, but like I caught myself as it was going up. So I actually used the words that I just described, right? And I demonstrated, like, I'm taking a deep breath to show you that I'm trying to manage how upset I am about this, because we're expecting to sign a lease and go get like groceries so we can make dinner that night, right? But so what I'm getting at is social learning theory. So with social learning theory, when your upper level leadership, if that's how they led, right? If they led by fear, then that's what you know. That's how you know to be a leader. And that then starts seeping into other areas of your life, such as marriage, such as parenthood.
So can I ask a question on that?
Please.
So I'm glad you're saying that part of it. Okay. So when I was in, I had a lot of leaders that were that way, right? They led by fear, they yelled, I was meaningless. Like they would literally step over me if I was bleeding out, if it meant that somebody else could do the job for them, is what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, Berto, I was like, I don't want to fucking be like those guys. I don't want to be that guy. I want you to know that, like, I'm in charge, right? I'm in charge, but we work together. We don't get this thing done unless we do it together. So how does that factor into that? Because I do see what you're saying. I've met a lot of people that when you meet them, you're like, I know who his sergeant major master, I know whoever that person worked under, right? You're like, I already know.
Right.
You look just like Bing. And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, I'm just saying, how does, and maybe I did too, in a sense, for other people, but I didn't want to be like those guys. Like I shied away from that, I think.
So you remind me of a phrase my mom used to tell me when I was a kid and I was, being mischievous, right? She would be like, you're turning me into my mother. And that's because, right, when we hit that fight or flight, right, we have that anxiety, the amygdala is going off, we revert to the path of least resistance, right? So as you exercise a certain behavior in certain situations, right, your brain makes that association, right? And so what happens is the next time that you feel any kind of level of that's your go-to reaction, right? So the more that you engage in that, like say, for example, riding a bike, most people at our age, right, 50, probably haven't ridden a bike in a couple of years, right? But we can all get on a bike and ride. We might be wobbly, but we can ride. That's because the synapses, right, the electrical connection that tells your body how to do that has a very strong sheathing. It develops a sheathing every single time that you react one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And so when you tie that to military, when you tie that to combat exposure, this is why we tend to have a reaction when we hear fireworks, right? Because we associate that sound with incoming rounds.
Yeah.
And so
especially the pop when it's going in the air, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
Literally 2 nights ago, we had to pause the TV and go, was that gunfire? And then we finally heard the whistler and we're like, oh, no, that's fireworks. All right.
Arnold's like, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this. I've been waiting for this.
That's the thing. So I'm glad that, Ty invited me on today because, one of the things that I love sharing is my successes in hopes that others follow suit in whatever path is similar to them. Okay. And so here's what I mean by that, man. So a theme that I'm hearing you say is a theme that I was struggling with. The people that were supposed to protect me are yelling at me, but they're not fucking protecting me. Mm-hmm. Right? How do I go to a freaking schoolhouse and nobody thought to bring sandbags when we're supposed to stay there for 7 days? Right? The first thing I see right above my cot is a window with a bullet hole in it. That's not safety, right? And the people that led that mission should have been more conscious. Now, the reality is there's so many other things that were going on behind the scenes that I was not privy to, right? That is my angle. That is my perception of the situation, right? Yep. And I've struggled with this at every deployment, at most missions that I've done. I've experienced it since I was a kid, and I just never made that connection. So I went to my local VA and I requested to be to be enrolled in what's called the PTSD clinical team. And, we talked, they do 3 kinds of things. They do prolonged exposure. They do cognitive processing therapy, and most are trained in EMDR. Because of my training, I chose EMDR. And I got to tell you, I have no idea how the hell it works. I really don't. But it got me to a point where at every single corner, every traumatic event that I had identified was 100% the same story. The people that were supposed to take care of me are not taking care of me. They're not keeping me safe. And I got to tell you, man, like the move was stressful. Like there was things going on at work that, I can't disclose, but very, very stressful as a supervisor. My wife is stressed the hell out, doing child protective services. We got to move. And then all of a sudden we don't have movers, and then we got to coordinate. And all of a sudden it's pop, 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 pop. Let's go. And I got to tell you, this was probably the easiest move I've ever done in my life. And it's
We're
all
about to go on deployment. Let's get it.
right. But there's a freedom in that, right? And I think that's what most veterans that I've ever had any kind of conversation that have experienced combat, or in particular have been diagnosed with PTSD, the thing that they say they want is to be Zen, right? And I don't know, you can do many things, right? You can do meditation, you can follow some of the Buddhist stuff. I sent Ty a really good video that I try to watch at least once a month about 10 Buddhist principles. And the big one that has affected me personally is whenever I encounter a situation where I'm experiencing what I like to call difficult emotions. I hate the term negative emotions. We're supposed to experience it. I was supposed to be angry that you made a commitment for me to pay you some money and move and get a key.
Right? Like, I'm about to give you money and you ain't even ready. Like,
right.
I'm going to another apartment complex. So
now,
we're going to keep your deposit.
In the defense of the Air Force, because I live on an Air Force base, literally the paint, as we were walking in doing the final walkthrough, the painter was putting the last brushstroke of paint on the wall. So they weren't BSing in the sense that the house wasn't ready.
I mean, that's cool, but like, how long I've been coming today? I'm just saying.
Well, this is what, well, also keep this in mind, right? Like I'm back on a military installation, right? So there's a much different process when you're a civilian coming in. Like you have to get
Bro, how many times did you want to bust out back in my day? This one never went down.
Right.
I would have called Ty and he would have came down here and squared this shit away like right now.
Yeah, but but it is what it is, right? So like it's funny because my wife is like, it's 5 o'clock. Why the hell do I keep hearing things? I'm like, oh yeah, that's you know what to do, right? You stop, you get out of the car, you stand, So I had to walk her through all of that. Yeah.
Why is everybody stopped on the roads? Pretty important stuff's going down right now. Don't know if you know that.
Right.
And by the way, nobody's kneeling, so you shouldn't do that ever.
Right.
Too soon? Okay.
So I will tell you this. So go ahead, Ty.
She had never done that before. She'd never been for the flag going up or going down on post.
Nope. No.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
What did she think about it when it was over, though?
She was like, "That's silly." And on Sundays at 10 o'clock, there's a bugle call as well.
Yeah.
And like I don't remember hearing that when I was in the barracks, and I never lived in on post housing.
Bro,
right,
that's the call for the sinners to come confess so they can get through the next week, bro.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Does that get your ass home so you can get to PT in the morning?
Yeah, like we know what y'all did last summer. It's time to come confess so that you can work.
My wife was joking. She was like, "Dude, I would be so mad if it's like summer and we got the windows open because it's like nice, and all of a sudden you hear that shit and the baby wakes up. I'd be pissed."
Oh, it happens every day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So overall,
so what's up with you guys?
Overall,
I'm sorry, Tyler. Yeah. Overall, the move is good. Like we're still, we're taking it very slow. We're very fortunate that Service Connection covers a lot of the bills. We got our place on the market out in San Jose. Yeah, man. We knew it was expensive, but we paid movers. Man, my back can't do this shit anymore. And if there's ever anything that
offer you relocation, you should have fought for that, bro. Like,
with the current situation,
yeah,
I'm lucky I got a job, man.
Well, really, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So like, just getting my bearings. Had a nice little chat with my supervisor and his one up. So, it's a much different role than I was doing before. It's a lot more administrative, and basically, I got told today, fix it.
Nice. You were like, you're speaking my language.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, I just need to know what my left and right limits are. And, they gave me pretty clear guidance. So the idea is to grow the 2 programs that I'm in charge of and, trying to get there. But I will tell you, man, I just learned about a new, I don't know how new it is, but have you guys ever heard of True North?
It's on a compass.
It is. Touche. That's good. That was quick, dude. That was quick. It's there it is. Al, you should have said on your elbow.
No, it's not my elbow. It's my forearm. I'm not that big yet. We'll get there.
Okay.
Steroids, they work well. I will never do that, y'all. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just look at Barry Bonds.
Millions.
Yeah, so True North, man, it's I don't know if it's Air Force specific. I don't know if it like they're trying to do something similar in different branches. I've heard of something similar with the Department of Navy. They call it a deployment resiliency counselor position, right? So people like me, like an LCSW or like psychologists, will get in that gig and they will go on the boat and they're deployed. I think the position says like 9 months out of the year or something like that. And also, I think if I understood it, it was to evaluate, for whether or not you should be on duty and that kind of stuff, like for mental health, right?
Do you have to renew your jump wings?
I don't know. So the Air Force has this.
I didn't even ask that question coming into the job.
So out in so in a couple of Air Force bases, I've seen this program called True North, which is fascinating to me, right? And I'm curious to see what's going to happen probably about 20 years from now, because that's when you're going to be able to see a lot of airmen go through this. So basically, as I understand it, and I could be way off base, and if anybody's in the Air Force and knows about this, please send us comments. So True North is where they embed a mental health professional, psychologist, family and marriage therapist, licensed professional counselor, psychologist. And they're looking not only at the interactions between leadership and subordinates, but they're also looking at how is the unit operating as a whole. So it applies a lot of like organizational psychology. It also employs a lot of like cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Like, don't believe everything you think, for example. So all these kinds of things. And so where I'm curious is the Air Force has had the highest suicide rate. And Ty, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we heard that in 2005 when we were in Afghanistan. Do you remember that?
I'm not for sure.
No.
Okay. I can't remember last week, much less 20 years ago.
Oh, we've had conversations.
Bro, that wasn't 20 years ago, bro.
So my point is, I'm really curious if this program, as robust as it seems, is it really helping with a lot of the mental health components that we're seeing, right? Many veterans nowadays, particularly since the war truly ended, right? Or we vacated Afghanistan or just dumped it, however you want to phrase it. We're seeing more mental health issues than we are physical issues as younger veterans, right? We're also not seeing a lot of, the vast majority do under 8 years or less, right? And so what kind of things did they go through, right? What is, when you hear the umbrella term military sexual trauma, well, what does that mean, right? Well, what that means is somebody was playing the bubblegum game, if you remember the movie Waiting, right? Just because you saw somebody's nuts does not mean you have a military sexual trauma. If it affected you in some kind of way, now we can say that is military sexual trauma, right? So, it's interesting because I've asked veterans about this, and I had one guy who was so honest. He was like, I didn't understand the question, and somebody had a picture of a nude calendar girl, and I thought that's what you guys were talking about. So he answered yes to the question, right? So a lot of these things start coming up, right? And so I think that's where, the VA, the federal government, any agency that helps with veterans, nonprofits included, we need to start thinking more about mental health than actual physical health. Do we still have physical issues? Of course we do, right? Many of us have tons of issues, but mental health seems to be the most important. The other component that I hear often is, I'd rather use my private insurance. That's great. do that. Do whatever makes you the most comfortable and you think you're getting the best care. But also consider mental health. And, you know, the VA is like, I can't even begin to give its praises, right? Like, I just literally testified, if you will, of my success with using the VA. So,
amen, brother. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never heard of that program, and I don't ever remember them like kind of dialing out who would have had the highest rates. That would be interesting if it was the Air Force, just because everybody is always like, I mean, join the Air Force if you want to go sit in a chair, right? So that would be interesting to take a look at. But I just think, Berto, like all these programs are coming about because they're starting to learn more and it's starting to become okay. Because remember, a lot of these leaders that were brought into this whole military leadership bubble and saw what other people were doing, how they didn't want to be treated, are now the ones leading that charge. Now they're coming in to be in charge. They're going, this needed to be done when I was there. I was screaming for it. It's not being done. So it's time to do it now. So I think you're seeing that rotation come through, right? Where now it's okay to do it because now the leadership that's coming there not just thinks, but sees that it's okay to do it, right? It's an actual help versus going to make you worse at your job. Like for real though. But we all thought, I'm going to be worse at my job if I go, because the leaders we had were like, are you breathing? Get your ass to work. You're like, oh yeah. Okay. That's true.
Right. Well, I mean, so two quick things. So I can tell you a story that when, so I blew out my back in Afghanistan and, you know, blah, 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 blah. I ended up we come home and I go see the docs and they gave me 4 Percocet a day and 4 Flexerol a day. Okay. That was on a Thursday. So I took 2 and 2. I followed the instructions. I have no idea what the hell happened, but I know that Ty was knocking at my door on a Tuesday asking me why the hell I was AWOL for 3 days. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Why are you at my house Thursday evening? He's like, bro, it's Tuesday morning. So that's one story. But, you know, this is the overgeneralization, and I don't know, right? It's my perspective, and you know, though I was a leader, I was never in the rank of a leader, if that makes sense, right? I never made it past D4. So here's my theory, and I saw it in the line companies with the MPs. So I'm asking you in the Navy if you saw something like this. So in that 01, 02, 03 kind of ramp up, right? We saw a lot of casualties. And so we saw a lot of young men get promoted to E5 very quickly, very immature people. And now you're telling them that at 20 years old, they are responsible enough because they can run and they can shoot and they can do push-ups and they can do sit-ups, that they are fit to be a leader. We never did the true mentorship that it takes. And what I mean by that is Ty and I both had, this Sergeant First Class, Kevin Walsh, that we called Big Chief. We had Big Chief, man, and he wouldn't grab us by the scruff. He would put his arm around us and say, hey, man, you understand why, ... He didn't have to yell at us. We knew what we needed to do. And I even remember as a young commo guy, I didn't understand what the hell was going on before my first deployment, but I knew we had 2 up armors. And I was instructed to install a long range radio system in it. And I came back with a concern that if I start drilling holes in this, the strength of the reinforcements are not going to be what they need to be to protect whoever the hell is driving. I had no idea who the hell was going to be driving these vehicles. And instead of getting yelled at and being told, stop being fucking lazy, go do what I fucking told you, they took it under advisement, and then they came back and basically told me I still had to do it. But it was that kind of leadership that was more powerful, right? Like when I got my DUI, it wasn't the assholes that were yelling at me and screaming at me, or my commander who decided that she thought phoning it in was a good fucking idea. No, it was the sergeant major that looked me dead square in the face and said, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
That's the one that hurt. That's the one that stung.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
I think
what do you think about the promotion? Sorry.
I was going to say, I think in the Navy, it's going to be a little bit different, right? And this is where all the services differ, by nature. If you were in the Seabees during that time, you probably saw a lot of the same thing that you saw in the Army, right? Seabees are frontline; they're building the tent camps, they're going in early with the Marines, and they're getting everything set up for the FOBs, and setting all that stuff up. The combat engineers, so they were on the forward front of that. Now, ship wise, it's probably a lot of stress, but they're running flight ops on the flight deck. It's a dangerous job, but they're not. If you're on a ship, you weren't directly involved in that, right? Like even as a recruiter, when we would talk to people, right? Like it flies off, you push the button, they come back, and you're like, man, that was awesome. But you're not the one like up close and personal, right? So I think it was a little bit different. But like if you were in a spec war community in the Navy or in the Seabees, you probably had a lot of the similar things you guys had there, right? Younger guys being promoted because they needed to get somebody in there because things did happen, but not fleet-wide, I guess I'd say, right? A lot of issues get found, right? Because you got to get things done, and there's a lot of stress. But I don't think to the level that you were talking about for that. Now, again, I bet I would almost guarantee I would have a different perspective on that, right? Because I went from Seabees to recruiting duty. I went from Seabees to being on the CERT teams, right? And being in that spec war for Seabees, going out with Marine Corps Recon. So I guarantee he'd have a different perception. He'd probably be more along the lines of you guys, but I saw it a little bit differently, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Ty? I mean, you went to more units than I pretty much stayed at one place.
Overachiever.
I don't know. I think each unit was different with however the group got together. That's kind of how the group would deal with all the problems. Most of my deployments, other than the 0709 with you and both with HHD, that's the only two times where I really was with a staff. The rest of the times we were like split off everywhere. And it was almost like we had, small teams, platoon minuses that were having to do our own thing. So we dealt with things differently. But this is kind of the swerve I have on this. As I was taking notes as you guys were talking, is, we talk about the maybe a higher percentage of Air Force are having issues now. But do you think it has anything to do with the brain not being fully developed till they're 25, and then maybe a lot of them are doing drones and you process, something you kill when you're a drone pilot differently than if you shoot someone. It's processed. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you can, but I'm sure it's processed differently. You don't get the
I mean, I can't speak for a UAV operator because I've never knowingly spoken to one, right? Here's my sense. One of the things that we struggle with, and it's relatively newer terminology in mental health, it's this thing called moral injury. And I think I brought it up before on the podcast, but basically, what moral injury is your spiritual beliefs, your morals, your ethics say you do not kill. However, when you find yourself in a combat zone and it's you or the enemy, and you made the decision to eliminate the threat, that now becomes a moral injury, right? It's dissonance between your ethics and your job as a service member. So that's where my brain goes, as potentially like, oh my God, did we hit the right target? Did we not hit the right target? Who was in there if we did not hit the right target? These are the kinds of questions that go through my head. So, but I can't speak for that profession. I can speak for the things that I did as personal security detail. And I can tell you, I damn sure always made sure I had positive ID before a round of any weapon that I was in possession of went down range. And that a shitty, we have such a weird sense of humor. I just didn't want to do the paperwork, right? That's the joke. That's the joke that you say. But in reality, I was struggling with that internally, right? Like if I pull this trigger right now, like we were coming back from Tagab after securing the first free election in Afghanistan, and one of the vehicles in our convoy had a flat, And so here I'm at the gun. I got a 50 cal. We called it Eagle Mounted, right? So I had a saw and I had a 50 cal. And I'm the last vehicle, so I got the 50 cal pointed at this one dude, and I have no idea if he's got an RPG or if he's got a damn rug hanging from the back of his back. And that dude stood there the whole damn time. Guess what I didn't have? I did not have positive ID. What would have happened if I would have just slipped or, saw him flinch and reacted, right? Like it was very methodical for me. Like, but I have no best way to explain it than training kicked in and then there was no thought process. And
but what about when you talk about stuff like that, Ty's experience and being on deployment much different than yours, my time in the Navy much different. I do think as I listen to more things and I hear more people talk, and especially when you come on and talk with us, I do think that part of what you're looking at is the role you played there, right? So if you were physical security, I mean, you were with people every day. You saw their family. You saw how, I guess, kind of they lived, right? You saw the human side to the people that you were there to be like, what's going on, right? Where not everybody got to see that. So for you, it was like, man, I got to make sure we're good. Whereas other people were just like, they just told me to do it. And so depending on where you're at, where you learn and what you do, which is everything, right? I think that's the key to it. Like Ty also being out and where he was and doing the things he did. How many people even understand what that means?
Right.
Even people that deployed as many times, and how many people understand that? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, here's something here's about understanding. Like people that have deployed with me, some of these pictures that I use, even for this background, like before we made it through Baghdad, we were in this place called Scandaria, and then another place called Palm Springs, and there was this place where it was beautiful. It was out in the middle of each side of Highway 1 was just sand, just like this. And I remember feeling like this is not war because nothing was happening at that time. And then once we pushed out of the desert, then it was a completely different experience. So, and that was just a matter of a month apart, So my life changed from not crossing the berm, not getting into Iraq for hours and hours. It was the air assault that took me up to Mosul, where that's where war happened. That's where you started seeing direct fire and Martin 19 exploding taxis. That's a sight to see. It's difficult to comprehend. So I think that and also like being, I mentioned this at the Tuesday podcast, being with the MPs, I have a pretty strong bond with the MPs and their TTPs. So I think I act a lot more like a police officer in my real life, or like a retired police officer, just the way I conduct myself. So how vigilant I am. So I don't know where I'm going with that other than to say that I definitely think there's a change coming with hopefully we can get back to some hopefully we can get back to some good training in the military, and we can train this new generation of people that are going to defend our country the way that people need to be trained that are going to defend our country. Yeah. Whatever that is. I don't know what that looks like, but.
Right. And so to answer your question, Ty, about 25, right? So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, at 21, the brain is fully developed. No, it's not. And this is why I think even when Dusty Rudd was on talking about, his experience in Mexico and I can't remember if it was psilocybin or if it was something else.
He licked the toad, bro.
He licked the toad. The reality is
we gotta get Dusty
it's not that your brain is not done developing at 25. It's from about 21 to 25. That's when those sheathings really become strong, right? So this is where, I'll speak for myself. My parents did not know how to teach me to express emotion or to manage emotion, right? So I remember my mom telling me after I got back shit from basic training. She's like, the Army made you worse. You were supposed to be more disciplined. What the fuck happened? She's like, you're cursing more. You're like, I'm like, it's called confidence. You
terrible
know what I
leader.
mean? Like, you couldn't tell me shit when I was 27.
It's called confidence.
You know, I mean, that's what it is. You're peacocky, right?
It's true. It's true.
It is, right? And so it wasn't until I got to Fort Campbell and I met Kevin Walsh, and like the way I was introduced was like I was an old hat at this. It wasn't even like I was, you know, I was the new guy. And like things were being said that I didn't understand. And it's like this whole new world, right? And so I get to the barracks, and all of a sudden I hear all these fucking coins drop.
That's right. I
And
just
grabbed the one that's nearest to
the 101st song as you were telling that story.
I saw you. And I picked up the coin that was next to me. I'm like, yo, somebody dropped this shit.
Oh shit, son.
And I gave it to like the E5, and I just went upstairs to my room. And he's like, you better fucking drop. I'm like, what unit are you in? And he goes, 101 in P Company. I'm like, well, I'm with HHD, motherfucker. I ain't in your chain of command. Deuces. And I went upstairs. That's when I learned that being the regulation guy is vital to my survival. And
Well,
that's literally
you know, that's the
what I
whole-
was.
You got to be able to dish it out and take it unless you know the regulation. Then I can dish it out all day long, but there's no way you're going to get me back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was one of those things. And that's like, you know, that's one of the lessons that I've learned and I've picked up, right? Like, even now that I'm transitioning into a new position, what am I doing right now? I'm reading all the SOPs. I'm reading every memorandum. I'm reading every
Me too,
like
bro.
instruction, because I need to know what my left and right limits are, right? I'm being asked to fix a couple of programs and to expand them. Well, how can I do that if I don't know what the issues are, right? If I don't know what's not being done correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you on that, Berto. We're both reading a lot of SOPs right now.
Yeah. So what's been up with you guys? I see Ty cut off the beard. Like, what the hell, man? Did you miss on a Monday?
No, Sarah.
Okay.
She responds when I don't look like a full on, you know, slob.
Behemoth.
Yeah.
Man, that's because you got like that I don't even know what to call it, man. Like that Fu Manchu that only comes down from the center, and you got to get the full pie.
I don't know.
Hey,
man.
Berto, the whole time you've been talking, bro, this is what I've been thinking, right? So you know too, right? We're selling these t-shirt contest t-shirts, yeah?
Mhm.
And I know you like whiskey more than you like wax and poetic, so you better buy one of those bitches. Anyway, check this out. So I'm like, okay, we're selling these shirts to raise this money. And we're about to do this March Madness bracket, right? I was like, how much would Berto let us shave his beard off for if we could raise it for charity?
Ooh.
Because that beard is fabulous and it's going to be expensive to get off, but I think we could raise the funds to do it, bro. And we'll let you donate it to whatever charity you want. I just, you know, I was like, how can we get
I'll tell you what.
Sidebar.
I will do it. I will agree to said shaving, but you guys need to come down here to New Mexico and do it.
Bro, I will bring the Clippers.
Oh,
dude.
and we'll open the show with me and a Tim playing drums and guitar. That's it. We'll open the show with our theme. Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm already putting it all in my brain.
Totally in, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry,
What's-
that was a tangent. I'm
so
just
remi-
watching you talk. I'm like, dude, there's another fundraising opportunity right
So
there.
remind me which charity is being gifted the money.
All right, so right now we're doing our t-shirt contest. So
Mhm.
my shirt that you can see right here behind me, the Whiskey Story shirt, is going to the organization just below it, the Texas Veterans Athletic Association. They do softball and go to tournaments and help veterans through sport. Ty, the Wax Poetic shirt, is going to go to the Project Zero Alliance. Those are our friends in Houston, Texas. By the way, if you guys know anything about Kilimanjaro and hiking, they need help with that. So go check out their website. And then Al Hero is doing the PTSD Foundation of America or Camp Hope here in Houston. So that's who whoever wins, that's where it's going, right? Then we're going to do this March Madness. And if we sell all of our spots out, when we sell all of our spots out, it'll be, what is it, $1,250? So you could win $625, and at a minimum, $625 is going to go to Guardian Grounds. So that's the charity. So we're looking for some charities other than in Texas too, by the way. So this is a good opportunity for us to broaden our base, Berto. Broaden our base.
Yes, I see that. All right. I dig it, man.
There it is.
I dig it.
Tournament Challenge, Triple Threat Bet Podcast 2025.
Please do. As a matter of fact, I will even share my basic training picture with Ty, and we can do a little 40-year difference.
Nice.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude,
but I ain't going straight razor.
Epic.
I'll do the clipper, but we ain't doing straight razor. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, no. We'll just clippers is cool, man.
All right. Just want to say, man, look, I have not had a straight razor on my face since October 31st, 2010.
Was that the last day you're in the Army?
That was the last day I was in the Army.
Nice. I like it.
Very good. Well, there you have
Let's go, dude. See that? Another opportunity to give to charities. Look at that. I love it.
We'll put the beard in a Ziploc bag and I'll autograph it for you. How about that?
The biggest donor gets your beard hair. That'd be awesome. So here's the thing. You asked what's been going on.
For a one-off
one-off sale. I'm so glad Al's not on here because the moment you mention OnlyFans, it's over.
Oh, I'm sorry, Berto. I probably shouldn't have done that, brother. I'm very sorry. That was only me. I just want to tell you that anything that the hosts say on the Triple Threat Bet podcast has nothing to do with any of its guests. They should not help.
The views of this show do not equal the views or the
I said
considerations of our participants.
Poetic. Thank you.
I feel like you guys have done this before.
First time.
I put in my mouth all the time.
So here's the thing. You asked what's different. So I, like you, am doing something new. I just took on a new job where I work, and I'm the training manager now. So I'm having to read SOPs and figure it out, dude. So if we get jobs in your area, I may just stop by. But I will definitely stop by for any kind of contest that has been so duly said in the last 10 minutes. So I've been doing that, and then did the rodeo in Houston. Right now I'm in New Orleans. We are going to be riding in the St. Patty's Day parade this weekend, throwing cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and onions at folks so they cannot pay for that at the grocery store, I guess. I don't know if it hits the floor, they can just wash it off. I haven't really figured that part out yet. And then I'm going to Florida. So just working hard, man, and trying to hawk these shirts, bro. I feel like a drug dealer. Ain't nobody buying my drugs right now. Well, people are buying my drugs, but not enough, we don't have enough to go reduce the cost from the supplier. You know what I'm saying?
I will say what I did not hear from you, man, is what are you doing to take care of yourself, brother?
Oh,
I heard a lot of work.
Even better. I've lost 22 pounds.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Lost 22 pounds. And remember, I see, there you go. Look at you fucking remembering shit, bro. You might as well be in clinical social work or something. So remember, I talked about we're doing date nights, right? This year, me and Becky. Bro, we bought an inflatable hot tub that goes on the back porch. Okay. And we have an outdoor cinema that you can put up out there so that occasionally that'll be the date night. We have been going on dates and just hanging out, man. It's been good, dude.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That it's that balance, man. It's that balance. And a lot of us, tend to dive into work and we fall into the traps of, the old school gender roles where we're the provider and we need to be the one at work. And that works for some people, but that doesn't necessarily always fulfill you. You need those outlets. One of the statistics before I go to Ty is this: men live shorter lives, not because women drive them nuts. They live shorter lives because they don't have friends. They don't have that tea circle or that knitting circle that they go and bitch about you to get advice on how to handle it, right? So that connection with others is what's super important, right? So
bro, this is my knitting circle every time you come on.
Right. And that's okay. But you need that also in your more proximity, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's I can call Ty. I think I talked to Ty when we arrived in Albuquerque. It's been 3 weeks. If I were to call him today, we would chop it up like nothing ever happened, right? We just catch up real quick, boom, boom, and then we dive in like we've never lost touch, right? Those are I guess as I've gotten older, those are the connections that I'm looking for. And there was, I do want to leave you guys with this story, but I do want to hear from Ty before I log off, which is this: the way that Ty and I deployed in 2007, I don't think even when I tell the story, I feel like it's almost a lie, right? So, like, no, seriously, right? So, mind you, I'm an E4. Ty at that point was an E5 promotable. And I get a call from Sergeant Major. I go to his office, and he was like, "What is it going to take for you to deploy with us to Iraq in 07?" I'm like, "Sergeant Major, the ink ain't even dry on my fucking contract. I'm going to fucking Germany, bro. There's nothing you can do." And he goes, "No, there's something. What can I do?" I said, "All right, fine. Give me Staff Sergeant Cobb, and I'll fucking go to Iraq." Okay, so fast forward, boom. The unit lands. Ty's doing his thing. As soon as I see him on one hallway, I see the Sergeant Major grab his ass by the elbow and pull him into the fucking combo shop.
This shit,
right? What do we got to do to get you to deploy?
This shit really happened multiple times. Like, I don't like. Okay, look here, America. Look here. I'm gonna do like Stephen A. I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna keep the party going. So I don't normally brag on myself, but I deployed 7 times, y'all. At least 3 of those times, as soon as I got off the plane, the first sergeant told me, "Okay, you're going to this company because they're deploying again in 3 months." Or I would have sergeant majors and first sergeants waiting for me and pull me into an office and be like, "We're putting an all-star team together. We're about to go to Iraq for 15 months. We got to build this team." And of course I'm going to say, yeah. But like literally 3 of them, they had people waiting on it. So Berto, okay, I don't like bragging on myself, but I liked hearing that one. Go ahead.
Yeah. So literally Ty responds, "You get me fight and I'll go." And that's Stephanie, man. That's how we ended up going to Iraq together.
Nice. I like it.
You know, and what I didn't know then is the brotherhood that the 05 deployment created with all the things, right? Like, Ty wanted me to be a driver for the commander. And I'm like, my license ain't got no damn Up Armor Humvee on it. I ain't driving. And, you know, it was
now.
Hey, I just about Circle X'd and did that very thing. But I think I yelled because that's what I was used to. I was used to being
right.
So I
right.
I yelled at him I don't give a, you're going to
right. And I think what, hindsight being 2020, I think what it boiled down to was I needed to know where my line was of how much I can push back. Right. I know you were an E5. I know I was an E4. I know I should have listened. I should have just fucking done it. The reality is I didn't like the person that I was supposed to be protecting. So I did what I needed to do to ensure that I was not going to get in any more trouble for lack of action. And I don't know. I mean, I'm probably exaggerating that after, probably telling this story various times. But the reality is I just did not want to go. And if I'm truly honest, I was probably scared. Right? Like, I had done other missions, but I had MPs with me. Now I'm the person that's supposed to protect that person. Right? And I already don't get along with them. They're talking shit and making me write a fucking essay because I'm overweight. Like, fuck you, bitch. Like, writing a fucking essay.
No, hold on. Let's
this is a movie, bro. This is a movie.
In your voice, I can hear your adrenal glands activating. So you're getting. So let's just take a second. Let's count to 3.
No, this is awesome. Listen, I can just picture going, "Do you still want me to write the essay or do you want to get the fuck out of here?" I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it's pretty hot right now.
How well did that work out for somebody?
You show up like, hey.
Do you remember?
Looks like I get to go out with you.
Okay, so
see, here's the thing: is
I'm a fan of malicious compliance.
I remember all these things happening, but I don't remember any of these personalities. I don't remember not getting along with anyone, really, other than like certain lieutenants that would buy Alienware computers that we thought were idiots.
Yes.
And things like that. But like
names unmentioned.
I know who you're talking about, and I don't remember disliking that person.
So the reason I did not like that person, in all honesty, is because I had pride of being with MPs. My whole career was at 716th MP Company. End of conversation, right? If you go to Leavenworth and you go see the Memorial Row, the bench that is there for 716th was designed by this guy. The 2 deployment coins were designed by me. Like, my esprit de corps cannot go. I'll tell you how big my esprit de corps still is. My race card number is 716. Right? Like, I have that esprit de corps. And my biggest issue with her is that she was military intelligence, and she should have never been put in charge of a military police unit. Hands down. Now, again, this is my perspective. There are, people like Nate Brookshire, Ty, that were, in meetings that I was not privy to, that have a whole different perspective on what was going on at that time, right? And I have to be able to respect that and understand that just because I experienced it one way does not mean that everybody experienced it that way, right? And to answer Bob, I just saw him pop up. Yes, I do know Hiscock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hiscock was another soldier in the 101st MP Company. So yeah,
it sounds like it.
I completely went once.
Just be glad that the child of the program is not on right now.
Here, let me wax poetic, and then you tell me. I want to ask you about the genesis of Wax Poetic, because people online are asking me about it now that I put up, the Wax Poetic.
Oh, and Adam Sandler did a commercial on it, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know how you got him to do that.
I don't know who that was, but someone.
Tap it in.
But I do know that because I know MI officers, because of our MTO, they're allowed to be HHD commanders. And it was a broadening assignment for her, and we did have that split operation to where she did perform really well with her intel out there. So maybe it was merit-based,
Could have been. My perspective.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Different perspectives. Here's what I'll tell you about it. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care if she was the MI or I didn't care who the commander was. I was going to do whatever needed to be done by the battalion commander anyway. So we worked for the battalion commander. So I didn't give a shit who that was. I supported them with whatever they said. But ultimately, I didn't care if they put a logistics officer in charge. I was still going to do what they said too.
Or what you want to do, right?
I was going to do the right thing. I was not a rebel, but I think I was very loud. I don't think I rebelled, but I was just loud, maybe.
No, I was the rebel. Yeah, I'm the one, but I didn't rebel in the sense that I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, right? Like, again, I would follow the regulations. You would have, I think it was the colonel in Iraq. I want a zipper net in my room. No. Why? Because it's not secure the moment it leaves the tube. No. We ended up doing it anyways, but I was the voice of dissent. Or same deployment. We need 18 fucking retrans sites because we can't fucking talk. No, the fuck you don't. You need training. Do you really think I'm going to go to 36 sites? Or you think I'm going to go to 36 sites because your happy ass can't fucking listen to a radio? And your people don't know what the hell they're doing? No.
You did try to put a pole on a building somewhere and you were like, what the fuck's going on? So maybe you would have gone to all those sites. I'm just saying.
No, he that's the thing, is he used his brain to figure the problem out before we even went out. He had the solution. That's the kind of shit that we did. So
but it's funny how people are just like, I want this now. And you're just like, no.
I mean, let's, I don't know where we were going with that, but I can back up everything he says with the bench and everything. And I understand that, but he was really good at his job.
Of course.
He said earlier that he was never an NCO, but he was an E4 specialist, and he was in charge of the battalion. And then I was in charge of the battalion after him. So he was definitely really good. And seeing all these names in here, like Berto, this fills you up. Like at the beginning of the show, I was real nervous, and now I feel proud and I feel fulfilled just like that. So, it's sometimes those things come on. It came on before the show, a little bit, just nervous. And then once we started talking about it and you get it out in the open, you're like, I guess it's not that big a deal. So here's the last question I want to get you. I didn't mean to keep you this long, brother.
I know, but wait, before you ask a question.
Okay.
I know that he's going to tell you, but you're kind of glossing over. Berto asked how you've been doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I got good answers for that too. Okay. So what Sarah and I have started to do is, we go walk around, we go get brunch, and then we'll watch a movie. She likes to go shopping, so we'll do something she wants to do where, we'll go to this place called Sur La Table, and, I'm spoiled now by La Crusade cookware shit,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm 50. I'm almost 50. That's what I do now. And so, that's something she likes, because she likes acts of Her love
Gift.
language is not gifts, acts of something. And I guess I like touch, so we hold hands and we walk, and it's bonding, and it's a way to connect. And I think that there's been, even with PTSD after COVID, there's been a separation where people, like, I have a hard time connecting with people at work because I'm just seeing screens, and I'm not a person. I wilt away when I see people through screens. I need to hug. I'm a hugger. You know that. I hug. I want to be in the room with people. So working remotely has been difficult. So she's made it a point to, since she works remotely as well, she's made it a point to, we get out of here. And last weekend, we didn't feel like, going out on a date. So we just drove down to Luliette and got her a little cupcake and drove back and just had her a little Sunday drive, left Tatum at home. So that's the shit we've been doing. Like what my oldest brother says, Todd Trosper, he says, you got to, you've made a choice to be married. Now you need to date your wife. So I'm trying to date my wife.
Me
too.
Yeah. The decision was not for that one day. The decision is for a lifetime.
For real?
Yeah.
Whole life.
Although I got to tell you, man, like this AI shit is tripping me out, man. But that's a topic for a whole different podcast. AI. That's a topic for a whole different thing.
We'll have to wax poetic about that because I've got some opinions.
Yeah, and like so, I just had an epiphany, right? So that whole story about not wanting to drive the Commander at that time, it ties back to that whole thing that I was saying, that the leaders that were in charge of me were not taking care of me, and that's what that felt like, right? And yes, there was a little bit of a spoiled brat in there, right? Of like, no, I don't want to fucking do it. And I know you can't make me because I'm not licensed, right? I know there was a component of that, right?
I was the leader, by the way. I was the leader you're talking about.
That's what he said. He was trying to find that boundary to push and see how far he could go before they were like, no, you're going to do it. I just envisioned, that's why I said I envisioned Ty going, fucking qualified now, go drive that thing.
Is that the first time I had ever really gotten sideways with you?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first time we disagreed on anything.
Oh, wow. We've not really disagreed with much since.
Right, but the wax poetic thing,
I told you,
to answer that question came from our staying up into the wee hours of the morning, literally talking about whatever, right? And this was, again, like, I had such a non-traditional career because Ty was already an NCO at this point, right? So there was no reason that I should have been there even having those conversations, right? Like, it just, the rank structure should not have allowed that. However, we saw past that and we saw value in what we were doing. And, in 2005, like, I explicitly remember, Ty was going through a divorce, dude. And like, he and I were talking about that shit all the time. And I had no fucking training. So sometimes I was like, yeah, fuck that bitch. And then there were times I was like, damn, dude, you're being a dick. You know what I mean? Like, just trying to be there for a brother, right? And that's ultimately what it became, right? And then next thing you know, he's gone. Then you went back to Afghanistan, if I remember correctly, in 2006. Then when you got back and we left in 2007, we were now talking about different things. We were talking about, your kids and how they're adjusting to, I can't, had they moved to Texas already in 2007?
It was, I think it is early 2008 is when they actually moved, but
yeah. So I remember you thinking about you think about shit. How am I going to get there? How much is this going to, like, all of those things. And that's real shit, man. That's real life, dude. And, I consider myself fortunate in the sense that 90% of my deployed time was phenomenal. I had a blast. It was a Boy Scouts trip, right? I can also say that, I had a company commander that wanted to go to the Cross Sabers just because I want to take a picture. No, fuck you, dude. We ain't going to no damn Cross Sabers for you to take a fucking picture. Our mission is to go fucking here, take care of business and come back. So it was those kinds of things, right? That people did not realize that I was developing my way of advocacy, right? And I think all of those experiences combined have made me the social worker that I am today. right? That and a couple of really good mentors in my previous position in California. But learning how to advocate, that was also a very important skill set that I gathered when I started feeling lost in the VA and not knowing how to navigate, not knowing there were programs. There's a specific program. I think they call it now Military to VA or M2VA. Their sole purpose is to help you get into the fucking VA and get your first appointments. Like, that's their only job, right? Like, that's amazing. And that program has been around since before I got out, and not one motherfucker told me about it.
I just learned about it.
There you go. Right?
Nobody knows that this program exists. Appointment.
You know? They're your advocate. They're the ones who are going to get you into the appointments that you need. Right? Right now, the sense that I'm getting is basically if you're being medically chaptered, you're being referred to that program, which is unfortunate. And I don't know that to be 100% true, so do not hold me liable or sue me. But that is my
totally
sense.
We're totally going to do that.
My sense is that those that are, leaving with, surgical procedures pending and those kinds of things are being informed of that program. But like, there's so many things in the VA that, I just had a conversation with a guy who survived a helicopter crash in Vietnam. He's my next door neighbor, and he will not go to the VA.
What?
Yeah. He refuses. And
bro, he survived a helicopter crash in Vietnam. He doesn't need to listen to you, bro. He's like,
exactly.
I'm here.
Exactly. I'm still here. Yeah, but I worry, he's an older gentleman. So I worry once he retires and he has no work to focus on. What is the brain going to revert back to? And it's going to revolve back to all the unprocessed things, right? Going through treatment like I did, like I know Al did, because I know, he's mentioned and disclosed in this forum that he went to a residential program for a while.
Yep.
It doesn't erase the memory, but it helps you look at things from a different perspective. And I think that's really the key. So one of the Buddhist things that I've been taking with me and I've been using a lot is, what is this situation? What is this person trying to teach me in this moment? Right? Because my feelings are valid, but sometimes my behavior is not.
Bro, I'll tell you what, when we talking about feelings, I went into a place the other day, and as soon as I walked in the door, it was like 4:26. It was yesterday, 4:26. This lady goes, "We close at 4:30." Rude, dude. We walk out. I'm just like, fuck this place. I'm never coming back again. He was like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "She just treated me like shit. I'm not going in there ever again." She's like, "You're really mad about that?" I was like, "Absolutely. I'm dying on this hill right now." So dumb, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did he teach?
Today it was dumb. It wasn't dumb in the moment though. I was
What
dude.
was that person trying to teach you?
Nothing. She was rude.
No, what was she trying to teach you?
Not to listen to people that tell you they close at 6, but they really close at 5:30. Google's wrong. I Googled it. We Googled it. They said they were open till 6.
So there's your problem, right? Google's not always accurate.
Bullshit.
No, what I'm getting at is they're teaching you to plan better, bro.
No, it's on the internet. It's got to be true.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's okay.
I got to plan better because they're supposed to be open at. I mean, what it says on the window that they're open to 6 or open till 6 and.
Listen.
So
before the advent,
he ties here for me, dude.
I worked retail before there were freaking cell phones with satellite damn clocks on them. Okay, and if I said it was 7 o'clock when it was 6:53, I'm shutting that damn door.
Yeah, but what if I'm that guy that comes in at the very end of the night and I'm like, hey, I need 14 pairs of Jordans in size 13. Give me the whole run. And then I go back and I'm buying 5,000.
You would open doors, bro.
I'm going to tell you exactly how that's going to play.
Retail.
Lock the fucking door. Sorry, we're still closed. Bye.
Okay.
I don't. You come up to me telling me you're trying to buy 13 pairs of Jordans. Who you got, bro? Show me them 13.
That kind of stuff happened right at the end of the day when I worked in Jacksonville World Foot Locker. The same people could buy, shipping them wherever they wanted to ship them, but they buy the entire run.
Look, Berto's like, you about to try and jack me, bro. You ain't getting none of these Jordans.
No, bro.
I don't know if this happens anymore, but back in the 90s in Jacksonville, you had to be on your toes on Jordan Day, baby. I'm telling you. Like,
yeah. Everybody
if you're in the comments and you know about Jacksonville Air Jordan Day, holler at me. Regency Foot Locker. I work there. Woo. Man. Hectic.
Do you remember the address? How'd you answer the phone?
I never answered the phone, man. I was selling my ass off on the floor.
Was you getting commission?
This World Foot Locker was like a theme store, so it was huge. Had basketball goes in it, had like Shaq's foot or Shaq's shoe on his foot out in the front of it and everything. Just cool as hell theme store, and like we would sell our ass off, man. Thousands of dollars of stuff every day, but you know, it was at the time in the 90s, it was jumping. But Jordan days, crazy.
Basically, he ain't got time for that phone.
I don't know how we got to talking about Jordan because he's the GOAT. That's why we got talking about.
We didn't get talking about Jordan because you brought up the fact that brought up the fact that these bitches closed at 5:30, but the internet said 6. Roberto goes, "That's your problem. Plan better. Google's not always right." Why they got this car that drives around the streets, and how does that business? How do the hours get on Google, Berto?
ADHD, military grade. ADHD.
No, they don't get on there through ADHD, bro. Whoever owns that business goes on there and says, these are the hours we're open. Somebody that worked there said that. So when I walk in and you tell me that.
Do you remember every password that you've ever created?
Yeah, they use the same one even still today, bro. I don't change them. What are you talking about?
How the fuck are you not hacked, bro? How are you not broke?
If you do hack me, you ain't getting shit.
Well, fair.
Yeah.
No, but like this, Berto.
Again, go ahead, Ty.
I bet you know about 2 of my passwords, and Matt has every password to my life, just because of our business. You know, the production thing.
I'm offended. I'm above business, man. I'm on platinum level, bro.
That's what I'm saying. You probably
you don't want all them passwords, homie.
You probably still remember some of those passwords. They're the same, dog. They're the same.
That's why I don't change my password. I know all ties. You know what I'm saying?
Very complex.
I only use addresses.
Hey, but look, Berto, I know that right now you're like, this dude, oh my God, what's wrong with him? I could just feel it, dude. I feel it.
No. Like, here's what I'm getting at, right? Because I literally had
change your fucking password. Don't read Google. It's not always right.
No, like, you know, a lot of it is depending on, you know, Google searches are just looking for keywords, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at the Google descriptor and not the actual website of the business, which it's not always updated too. But I literally just had it. We were trying to get somewhere and supposedly closed at 7. We got there at 6 and they turned out they closed at 5. Like, okay, nothing's updated. This sucks. So, you know, what could I have done different?
We had 2 different reactions to that shit.
I
Sorry.
mean,
I'm
why
still
would I
working
die
on it, dude.
Of all the hills that I could die on, why am I going to die on a hill that I have to wait a whole nother fucking day to go buy a product, or I have to go drive to a whole nother store? Big fucking whoopsie-doo.
I fixed them, bro. I didn't go back there ever again. They're going to feel it.
Oh, yeah. What were you trying to buy?
Beads. Yeah, dude, I told you we're riding in a parade this weekend. I had to go buy some beads, bro.
He's got to represent. You know, he's.
You're telling me that you set down a store over $5 of plastic,
bro? I don't know where you buying $5 of plastic. I'd love to go there. Have you been in the economy today, Berto? Shit ain't $5.
No, I ain't going to no damn carnival and shit.
Why not?
Well, because I don't know nobody here yet.
Give me about 10 minutes.
Rode the tram yet?
No, not yet.
Tramway.
But we're gonna do that. There's a beautiful tramway here with paved trails and stuff. So we're gonna go for a little short hike over by what's called the Sandia Mountains. Fucking gorgeous, dude. Gorgeous.
Have you seen our brother Tim Reed?
I have not. I texted him once.
It's in all of Albuquerque.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay. Need to see him first.
Yeah.
Well, we might have to take the show there, Matt. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to show you around Albuquerque.
Listen, man, we're going to Albuquerque, bro. 100%. We got a beard to cut off, dude. Although, Berto, so here's the deal. If you're in on it, right, and you're in, right, you're in, we're going to come. We're going to go there. We're going to cut it off. You get to determine the dollar amount because you're an honest guy, and I know you're not going to make it so hard that it's unattainable.
How much is it going to cost to cut off my beard?
Yeah.
Let's go 2 for 2. Double whatever the brackets are.
Okay,
that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
So $2,500 gets it done.
No, whatever the brackets are. What 1625?
No, 625 is what they're 12. It's 1250 total is what we're gonna raise. We're gonna give
Okay.
$625 to the charity. I was trying to
will
get
throw
people
in my
to give
beer
it.
for double that amount. So
$12.50.
let's shoot for 12. Yeah, 2,500.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Let's go.
There it is.
Al might donate that just by himself because he accidentally cut his beard off because he turned it purple the other day.
Yeah.
That's what you get for using Just for Men, man. You got to keep the whites, man. You got to keep the whites.
Yeah.
Al's so good at fundraising. He's kicking our ass with his t-shirt stuff already.
Bro, he's paying people to buy his shit. What are you talking about?
They don't care, man. That ain't like Boy Scout cookies. Like,
look,
you
Al,
can't pay for somebody to buy your shit.
Yeah, you can. Al goes, give me your phone. And he's like, put all your shit in here. And then he puts his card in and hits pay. You didn't know that?
What?
Yeah.
All right, fellas. I think we've had just about enough fun. It's about time to land this ship. So, Berto, thank you very much for popping on, man.
You're welcome. Glad you guys are doing well.
I think that you became a licensed clinical social worker because of your time in the 2 deployments with me. And I'm sorry. And also, you're welcome.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. You're welcome.
Yeah.
There's no regrets, dude. Not even one letter. No regrets.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the friend of the show, and I think he is the platoon sergeant of the Triple Threat Vet platoon, Berto Fight. Thanks, brother.
Thank you very much, man.
Right. Oh, I cut him off.
Dang, hell yeah.
Cut him off.
He's like, don't forget. Shit.
Yeah.
Berto's the man.
So, yeah, for sure.
Vet Buddha, baby.
Yeah.
That shirt might be coming soon. And it's going to look like Berto, too. It's going to be awesome.
He really is. I mean, like, he when we met each other, I was in E4, he was in E4. And then I ended up, before I left Fort Campbell in 2009, you know, he and I lived together because I didn't want to get another place because I knew Sarah and I were moving out to Las Cruces. So I just stayed with him like after we got back from the deployment. And I think I was a staff sergeant promotable and he was an E4. And I was like, you know, probably shouldn't be living together. And he was my soldier too, but we did. So
future guests, let's check this out.
Guests, who we got coming up?
Bro, look at that picture in service. I'm going to give him so much shit about that. Like, who cut your hair, bro?
That's a cool ass haircut for back then during Desert Storm. That high and tight, man, that was what it was. And
that's not even high and tight, bro. That dude's trying to rock a Vanilla Ice.
Days maybe, but that right there, that's what was in, baby.
Well, I know we can give Victor shit like this, so I'm excited. That's why.
Yeah, Victor's going to be fun to have on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Victor is an Army veteran of the member of the VFW National Legislative Committee. So he's going to come on. He's going to talk about some of the things that the Texas and the National VFW Legislative Committees are fighting for soldiers. So it'll be fun to get him on.
They're fighting for veterans, bro, not just soldiers. Dang, dude. You talked to Berto for 10 minutes. Now you want to do stuff about soldiers.
I had it the same way when I was talking earlier. I know. I guess I'm biased against the other branches, man. I'm just for the soldiers. You know. But you know, that's why we got you guys. You guys can think about the, you know, Marines and sailors, whatever it is. No, I love you guys. I love you
too, man.
Do not come at me in the comments about that. And let's see what we got. That's about it. You ready to get out of here?
That's it, man. Sure.
Yeah. At the beginning of that show, I was feeling some kind of way, and then by the end of it, I felt like I had my feet back under me. That was nerve wracking. I've not had anxiety like that about a show, at least.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
it's a good time. She's done a lot of stuff, man. You could talk to people like that forever, but I like getting the important stuff out. So everybody that's out there, hope you enjoyed the show. We're so glad to bring you 2 in 1 week. So enjoy that. It's not going to happen all the time. So recap. Number 1, we have 3 shirts that are up for sale right now. It's a competition. We're all competitive, but Al and Ty don't care if they lose. Matt does. So you got to go buy his shit. Go buy one of these shirts. Help us go out there. You know, you saw Al was winning. Al's checks won't clear if he's giving you money to buy his shit, just so you know. Also, got the March Madness bracket coming up. So if you want to get into that, $50 entry fee, you can win $625 and make sure that our friends at Guardian Grounds get some money also. And then lastly, just off the whim, we're going to shave Berto's beard. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So remember, 1250 does it. I know somebody out there's got 1250 laying around. Bring it in. And, sameflag.sameoath.com. Check us out on all the socials. You'll see everything that drops in on Fridays for all the other podcast providers, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all those. And until we see you guys next week, have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you again.
I don't know why my camera went off. So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I really appreciate having Nicole on. I love what she's doing. I love that she's telling the soldier stories. Love that she's telling the military members stories. It means a lot. Those stories need to be remembered, and it's very therapeutic to be able to talk about that stuff. And then also some of that real-time therapy that's going on. Berto is a friend of the show. I've known him for more than 20 years. And so I appreciate when he can come on here and we can just shoot the shit and we can be able to talk the old veteran talk and be able to calm me down and have a great day. I look forward to this every week. We're not going to do 2. I think we've got one more schedule where we have 2 a week. I'm sorry, Matt. But we are going to move the show to Thursdays starting in June. It's better for everybody's schedule. So as always, we appreciate you watching on TikTok. We appreciate you watching all across the other social media and our lives that we have, our reels. Thanks for the comments. Like, subscribe, share. If anything that we say on this show helps one person, then it's worth it. All the people that we have on here, they're all doing great and wonderful things for veterans. We just hope we can be a part of that magic. Talk to you soon.